Hey everybody, welcome to the Soulful Eclectic. I am your host, Diana Collins, and I want to welcome you to today's episode. If this is the first time you've joining us, I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be here. And if you are returning, I want to say welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And thank you for taking the time out to come back and sit with us and listen to what we have to say. I want to thank my WUBI, Ubiquity Radio and TV listeners and watchers for this episode and taking the time out to spend with us also on TV and radio. I appreciate you so much. I also want to thank my sponsors who are, as you guys well know, Divine Nubian Essentials and Collins Education Resource Management. So if you have not tried Divine Nubian Essentials, I invite you to do so. It is a great skin and hair care product line that is essential for your health. And if you're one of those people who monitor what you put in your body, you should also monitor what you put on it. And also for Collins Education Resource Management, I want to also share that with you all as well. So with Collins Education Resource Management, they are an education resource for our adults and children who are looking for additional help if they are in the healthcare field. And there is tutoring involved, and also for the community education and research and lectures are also available. So I have the pleasure of having a very special guest here with me today. Her name is Tiana Phelice, and she is one of our esteemed individuals in the creative community. So with that, I have Tiana Phelice. How are you, darling?
I am doing amazing.
And you are looking amazing.
Appreciate it.
So Tiana Phelice is one of our many creatives that are in our community. And I just love to spotlight our creatives, especially those who are in acting and directing and screenwriting, because I don't think we get shouted out enough. And being out here in the Southwest in Arizona, people think we can't do anything. And we are here to share that we are creatives and we have a lot to share with the world. And I love the messages that Tiana has a lot with all her productions that I've seen on YouTube. And from what I have seen, she's been doing it for a while. And we just met over a project. This is Love, which I enjoyed being a part of. And I want to, publicly thank you again for having me be a part of your baby, because it is your baby.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You earned it. You earned it.
And I appreciate you for saying that, because so many times people think that in this business, it's a lot of nepotism and, or just the fact that a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. And, and honestly, with you and I, we met from me earning it, right? I mean, I auditioned for you. I called back for you. I did the work for it.
Showed up. Showed that talent off.
And I appreciate it. Well, you know what? You gave us a great framework to work with, and that's where it all begins to bring that creativity out. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you and who you are.
Well, so I am actually from California. I've been back and forth between California and Arizona. It's funny that you said people don't take Arizonians seriously when it comes to the arts. Because I don't know if I would say I didn't take people in Arizona seriously, but I wasn't really aware of the presence out here in Arizona. So even when I did move here, I would always travel back home and do all of my work out there. I would do all of my auditions out there, all of my projects, so on and so forth. But most people don't know that I actually started out writing books from a little girl, I started with like poetry. Um, I was like just writing poetry. Like whenever I would feel something, sometimes my friends, like Valentine's Day, can you write a poem for my boyfriend? I want him to, say this and say that, whatever. And then cut to like years later, like growing up at that time, everyone would say, "Oh, you're gonna be a writer," and I could remember my mom like bringing me like some like publishing pamphlets because she really
Oh,
wanted me to move forward with it. But at that time when I was younger, it was just something I did. I didn't take it seriously. But then after I had my daughter and I was in like this really long relationship, like starting at the age of 15, um, I went through a lot. And naturally, I just started like writing again, and it went from poetry to these short stories. It was like I wanted to express what I was going through, but
mhm,
through the lens of like other characters. Because I think even at that time, I didn't want to like expose myself and
mhm,
what like the trials and tribulations I was going through. Um, and then it went from I was working with a publicist at the time, and she was like new in the industry too. And we were trying to think of ways to sell the books. And we were like, let's make monologues. So we did a monologue show.
right.
And then trying to cast a monologue show in Los Angeles, an actress end up seeing it, and she was, she loved it, and she was like, I would really love to direct this. And I'm like, what? And then it turned out she was somebody and she knew a few somebodies, and so we did the plays. I went to film school, and then I wanted to, at the time I couldn't, a couple of years ago, I couldn't um really afford to always hire a DP or hire somebody for sound, and I knew I wanted to be able to make like at least small projects to understand filmmaking, and I didn't want to sit around and wait for somebody to always produce my work, my writing.
Mhm.
And so after I graduated film school, I got myself a DSLR and, learned a bit about that, and it's gradually coming along. So here we are.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the fact that you also shared that you're a mom. So, how is that sharing that with your daughter and being a mom and being creative?
um I feel like me and my daughter, we were actually just talking about this today because she said, Mom, where do you think you would be if you never had me? And I didn't know how to answer the question. I was like, what inspired that question? She was like, I don't know. I was just thinking. And I was like, some things are meant to be. And it's so weird because I had her at 21, which is like fairly young. And so she's always been a part of this journey. Um, she is an artist herself, but more into like painting and things of that nature. And I can remember like I found like some books she had wrote some poetry, and I thought like maybe she was like going in that direction. But she's more so, if we were to ever be a team, she would be the business and the books. And
Mm,
I would be the one like creating, because she's very, even if she's 17, but very grounded. And so I think the biggest thing um, when you are a single parent, or even let's say if I was still in my relationship, I think it would have been probably less challenging
mhm,
when it comes to just making sure she has someone to supervise her and things of that nature. But um, there's definitely this a battle of being present and still pursuing your career.
mhm,
When I got that opportunity to produce my play in Los Angeles, it ended up going from the monologue show to a full blown stage play, and I actually moved to LA for a year. And I had to make the decision to leave her with her dad, which was
mhm.
the first time she and I didn't live in the same house together. So um, I don't know. I think the world is so used to seeing men always pursuing and the woman being
Yeah.
the caretaker. So when we step out, like I definitely had to deal with like backlash of, oh, she's not a good mom, and how could you leave your child? Meanwhile, her dad was gone on and off for a good 10 years of her life playing football.
Mhm.
And that's the norm, it's okay. So, but I don't regret it. And I'm glad she saw it. Cause uh, she's not very expressive, but when she does ask questions about business, she started writing her own business plan and stuff like that. I feel like that has already planted a seed that will probably sprout later.
And I appreciate you saying that because I definitely can relate to that piece of how it's okay for the men to go out and do their thing and live their life and sow their oats and be
Mhm,
all these things. And
mhm,
as soon as we do it, it's like, what are you doing? You need to be home, right? So
mhm.
I'm glad that we as women and as Black women are changing that narrative that we can have those things that we pride ourselves to and we want to do and we enjoy doing. And I like I said, I can relate to that because going to nursing school, I endured a terrible relationship because I needed to finish
Mhm,
school, right? And get that degree so I can get the hell
mhm.
out of
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
thrive.
Right? So you endure those things. And I think what people who are outside looking in don't realize is that our children see what we're doing. They see the hard work and they know, yeah, they may give us a little grief in the middle because that's what kids do. They have to be kids. They're not going to be,
Yeah.
angels and all these things. They're going to give us some grief, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But at the end, and I'm just, like speaking for me, I had 2 daughters, right? I'm like trying to navigate and making sure, the old adage that they finish high school and that they don't end up pregnant before they finish high school. So, I had that added challenge like you did on top of that. And, so yeah, we are of many talents
Mhm.
and we can still look beautiful and not look our age, right?
Right. Snaps. That's what I'm talking about. People need to know that women, the things um, the things that we endure, um, it's just so crazy because I find myself like always having this conversation. Um, and I don't want to pit it as like a women versus men thing.
Mhm.
Like me and my friends, like we joke about it, like women, we're so much stronger and we can do this, and men, they blah 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 blah. But when it all comes down to it, it's like all of our differences and strengths and weaknesses on each side. Like it's not because one is more superior than the other, but it's because that's just how much we complement one another. I do, however, feel that women, we are at a disadvantage because we do carry the babies, and not saying that men don't love children equally, because I think that they do. Well, when you're a good man, but
Mhm.
they love them differently. Um, like my daughter's dad, he like loved our daughter and was like the person that would always like show up when he, could show when he wasn't overseas somewhere. Um, but could I have lived without her for 6 months and been okay with a phone call once a week or like, I don't think so. Even when I went to LA, I would come back to Arizona almost every week.
Mhm.
I was on the phone with her constantly. I'm sending her Amazon packages, on the phone with her school, on the phone with him, making sure. Um, so I'm not gonna say it's a matter of love, but we carry them in our womb. We bring them into this world. It's like we're attached to this person and then we have to separate from them. So it's a little different.
Yeah, it's very different. And I'm glad you said that too, because I don't think people realize that as well. That is, it's not less love or more love for either side. It's just we love differently. And
Mhm.
when you carry someone for 10 months, I mean, let's face it, there's an attachment and a bond that is like none other. And then when they're your daughters, it's a whole different love, right? Not saying that it's not the same with the sons, but there's something about holding your daughters close to you
Mhm.
that is just speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe I say that because I'm a girl mom. You know, I don't know if it made me. I don't know. I just it just seems is different, and
Yeah.
I just in comparison to how I see my mom treat my brother, it's different.
It's different.
It's really different, and um, yeah, I don't think there's that same attachment, that same. So no, you couldn't have spent 6 months away without with just a simple phone call, right? You know, I'm dying here. My daughter's in Seattle. My oldest daughter's in Seattle. I mean, yeah, she's 28 years old, and I know she's a fully grown woman, but it kills me when I don't hear from her in a week. And I'm texting her after day 2. Hey, how you doing? What's going on?
Mhm.
Are you still let me know something, you know? And if I don't get a response from that, I'm picking up the phone, calling you back. Hello, what's going on? So yeah, it is really different.
Mhm.
So with that, and your daughter seeing it,
Mhm.
how do you maintain your authenticity in your day-to-day dealings? You know, 'cause we talk about wearing the mask and the code switching, and I don't know about everybody else, but I'm tired of switching codes.
Um, s- s- I feel like even when we're just talking about our daughters, my life has come such full circle. Like as you were talking and hitting those points, like I'm just like, it's true what they say. Like women, we could have like not have so much in common, but there are just so many core things that we have in common. And the code switch is real.
Yeah.
I would say for me, myself, honestly, if I spoke in my regular voice, just without, no inflecting, I've been told that it's like very intimidating. Like I could
Mhm.
say something and it's not meant to be rude, or anything, and it'll come off away. And so for me, I can remember when I lived in LA and there was this one girl. Whenever she would come into the room, it was like she immediately raised the energy,
Mhm.
especially when you're around like different actors and people don't know each other. And so everybody's like trying to be cool, but trying not to. And the way she walked into a room, and she told me later, like she would be nervous, this and that, but she just had like this joy about her, like hi, like this spirit about her. And that taught me something
Mhm.
because at that time I was also acting, like I was acting in my play and I was like under like a lot of pressure. Um Not really going too deep into that, but the person like tried to do me like shisty and all of this.
Mhm.
And I really felt like this girl spirit kind of helped glue everybody together. And slowly but surely, I can remember this other girl, she had like an attitude problem, like younger, and like how when people are young, they just, like
Mhm.
think they know whatever. But and the girl's name is Paige, and she's been acting for a while, but her energy started to rub off on people. And I can remember like even just calling, and if I call and I'm just in my regular voice, I'm just, hello, how are you? You know, and she would be like, hey, like, what's up?
Yeah.
And what I started to realize is like the world took like so much from me.
Mhm.
And I shouldn't even say the world. I'll just say life experiences.
Experiences.
Because when I was younger, I was always that girl. I was always like walking into a room, what y'all doing? Like, oh girl, this and that. And then when you go through certain experiences, you have like this guard up. And so it's just like, okay, simple pleasantry. Hello, like, how are you guys doing? And let me read the room. And, so I don't get hurt or whatever. But after getting to know this girl, which I'm saying this girl because I'm just not saying her, well, I
Yeah.
think I said her name, but um it reverted me back. Um, especially if I'm in a room and I do notice a divide or I notice reservations. Another thing she would do, which is something we always did in our family, like in my family, like we kiss on the lips, like we kiss our aunties on the lips, everything, hug. But when I just been away from home, I lived in Boise, Idaho for 5 years around a
Mhm.
whole bunch of people.
Mhm.
And it just was a different culture. So nonetheless, when I met her, um, it checked me like, what happened to you, girl? Like, used to be so
Right.
fun. Like, used to be this. Like, now you like worried about like if this person, got an attitude or and trying to stay
Mhm.
up. So, I feel like the code switching can be helpful on one end because, like I said, this is my regular voice. When I'm just talking, blah blah blah. I don't even know if I would classify it as a code switch, but when I walk into a room, especially as being a director, which I'm a method director, and most people don't know that. But when I walk into a room, I feel that it's my responsibility to raise the vibration, especially if and it doesn't necessarily have to be that an energy is off, but if I know these people have to be in a scene where they have to be intimate, or now you have to be his mom, or blah, 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 blah. I have to usher in that energy. And sometimes I don't want to do it where we're just directing, okay, well, I think you should blah, 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 blah. I want it to come natural. And a couple of actors that have worked with me before, they know that because we talk about method a lot. And I
Mhm.
really dig into people's like biography a lot when I'm doing like certain projects. If I feel the need to, like we like do the work. So I would say that I do get into a little bit of method. I don't know if that would be code switching or not, but I'm very aware of the fact that typically when a
Mhm.
director is on set, everybody's trying to be on the best behavior, being who they're not, whatever, whatever. Um, I'm not everybody's friend, but I need to feel like a friend. That comes with there's a whole downside to that. And you even seen it like when we were at the house and
Mhm.
everybody was talking at me, blah, 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 blah. There's moments when I don't care like what people think. If my head is about to explode and I have to,
Mhm.
and it's not that it's your intention to even scream like that. I think I just shut up, like everybody, like
Yes.
just stop. But there, as a director, especially in my position, when you're funding things and you're responsible for everybody's this, you're responsible for the schedule. We got to be out of this place by this time, whatever. People could not show up on time and delay stuff and different things.
Mhm.
I think there are those moments. Um, but back to the real code switch. I don't really, amongst like my circle for real, like
Mhm.
I despise it. And that's actually something that we talk about a lot too. Um, there's a level of betrayal to yourself.
Yes.
There's a level of betrayal. And I like to think of I've grown up being a Beyonce fan, like because I grew up in the era when Destiny Child first hit,
Right.
all of that stuff. And everybody, has their theories on her, but putting the theories aside and just thinking about the trajectory of her career,
Mhm.
and maybe many other greats, they play the game until they don't have to play it anymore.
Yes. Yep.
So I think that especially with us like black and brown people, we have to play the game times 10, but I think there's a level of that like we have to like be aware that we have to play the game. And I seen an interview with Nene Leakes, and she said, "You can't keep it 100 with everybody. Those are for your select few. You keep it 100." She was like, "You keep it about 65 most of the time." So I don't know. I feel like I would. I don't mind playing the game, And when I have the money and I have the access, then we play my game. We play my game with my people, and we doing, you know, setting stuff straight.
See, and I love that because I kind of sense that from you, um, working with you for those few days, and I love that, and it's like with anything when you're there and you're in that headspace, you're about your business. We got to get this done, and that's one of the things. I mean, there's a lot of things I respect about you, knowing you and meeting you and spending time with you. I respect that about you. You come in and it's like, we're here to do a thing, we're here to do a job. We'll talk about all that other stuff later. I
Mm-hmm.
got you. But right now, we need to be here and do this and get her done. Um, and I totally saw that with you, especially with the method acting. And I saw you kind of like take a deep breath and it's like, okay, this is what we got to do, and this is kind of thing. And I just love that because that that showed me that's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is what we're here to do. We could talk about all that other stuff afterwards when we have downtime and we,
Mm-hmm.
are getting ourselves together and putting in perspective and where it should be. And I respect that. I mean, it's what we're there to do. And if we are saying and claiming that we are serious actors, then we're supposed to come in with our game on and ready to go. What do you need me to do? Where you need me to be? Let's do this kind of thing. So, yeah, and I loved that I was able to share that with my daughter. So I thank you for that.
You talking about thank me? Thank you. You brought your daughter. I appreciated it.
I
Like,
know. Yes, I did, but I appreciate you doing that because that ignited that reignited that spark within her because she was doubting herself and her ability. And as a mom, we can tell them till we turn blue in the face. You are talented. You've been, and she's been doing that for years. I mean, she's not up until she was 15, 14, 15. That's when she stopped because she started doubting herself. And somebody was telling her that she wasn't pretty. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I was like, you are freaking drop dead gorgeous.
it was a hater. Taylor was definitely a
And,
hater.
and that's what I used to tell. I was like, they're hating because you're pretty, they're not, and you got something for going on, and you're going to go places. So she stopped, and as a mom, it hurt, but I said, you know what, I'm here for you. Whatever you need me to be, whatever you need to do, I'm there. You want to stop? No problem. You know, and I have to tell you, from the moment she stepped on set, it was like, go. She was this whole different woman. She was like, I'm in it, I'm here. And she even said, she's like, Mom, her energy is like amazing. She just makes you want to be a part and see, like, she just makes you want to just go ahead and just be. And she's like, and I love that. She says, so yeah, whatever she's not having, I'm coming. So if she wants me there, she's like, I'll be there. She's like, because I just love her energy. And I said, well, I'll make sure I tell her. So I'm telling you, she loves your energy.
I'm sure we're gonna work together, and I think it's important that, and I know like a lot of people have said it, but I feel like acting, you guys have to be so brave. Like, you have to be so brave. People don't the lack of credit that I feel like you guys get is astounding, because people don't realize that most of the time, like, an actor is auditioning all the time, like maybe 10 auditions before they land something, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I feel like at this point, I've like casted enough to, and I want to say it was like Viola Davis. Somebody has said this, and I kept it with me. It is not even always a matter of talent. There are certain roles, just the way they're built, and and just the vision of them that even Viola Davis herself, Angela Bassett, Regina King, Taraji P. Henson will not fulfill.
Mhm.
And we're talking about people that have already had the success because that particular role is not for them. What I will say though, as an actress, it's hard to believe that. It's hard to really accept that feedback. With me, when I cast, which is why I've worked with some of the same people. John, who
Yeah.
at this point I've worked with more than anyone at this point. When I first auditioned John, he didn't get the role. He even told me later, like, oh, I didn't like you because you just ended the audition. I was like, all right, thank you. Talk to you later. And I ended because some people try to like hang around. Like, I'll be like, all right. And they try to hang around and see what everybody else is doing, whatever. Um, and it was because that role was not for John. It just was not for him. Um, and I'm sure if he were to speak on that, like he probably, went back like, oh shoot, like what did I do wrong? I should have did blah 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 like
Mhm.
this. Um, but I seen that he was talented, so I called him for something else, And I
Right.
like he got a different role. That's what it was. He didn't get the lead role. He got a secondary role, and I called him for the secondary role. He came. He showed out. And then we kept working together. He's the person that I've been working with the most. So anyways, hopefully she sees this interview and I think and I can see the other side.
Mhm.
I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
So
And I appreciate you saying that too, because I don't think a lot of people understand that a, a lot of actors do not, when they look at the big actors on the screen, that was probably their big breakout role when they first saw them. And they have 20, 30 other films and things and projects that they've done that
mhm,
didn't get that level
yep,
of recognition.
mhm,
And, so I think, who was it? George Clooney,
mhm.
was like, went on, was 19, 20 years before he got his big break,
See?
you know? And so it's just going to take time. And I think that's one of the things that people don't recognize and understand, even with writers and, directors and, it takes time.
Pay your dues. Like, and that's why when we get so caught up with like even the social media game, I feel sorry for people that did not grow up without social media because we know what life is really like. Like it's like we got the pre-social media, so we can kind of compare and contrast. Like, nah, we
Right.
know how to live without it in a sense. Um, but that's why, like, when we see other people in their season, like, you don't know how many couches they slept on. You
Mhm.
don't know how many times my car stopped and I didn't have gas money. You don't
Mhm.
know how many times I was talked about, what title loan I've had to take out to pay for past projects. People don't think about that. They see what you have now, or they see that social media, that highlight reel,
Yeah.
and they weren't there for the beginning of their of your story. And even with me, I'm still a new artist. I'm still someone that is developing my craft. Do I have the confidence that I feel that you need to have to kind of go? Yes, I do. But I very much get, even with This Is Love, Frank, our lighting guy, has been in this industry for 20 plus years. He's a
Mhm.
DP himself. You know what I'm saying? He's a screenwriter himself. Me and him met just for him to do the lighting. But with me, instead of me like allowing him to, I guess I'll say that can be intimidating. But for me, I'm like, he's just taking myself to the next level. He's
Right.
taking me to the next level. And he's actually who's editing the project. And like, it's just, I try to embrace, like, I try to embrace those moments and those situations because people, that I'm meeting now, they may see, those YouTube projects. And if you go back to there's so many, for me, from my perspective, there's so many issues with them, and there's so many things. I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have done this. I'm still very much a new filmmaker, a new screenwriter. I have a lot of projects out there because I've had to depend on myself, and and my projects have been to like practice and sharpen my craft. And honestly,
Mhm.
I don't even want to be behind a camera, but I need to know what's going on behind that camera, because I do want to maybe not direct all my projects, but some of them. And I had the privilege of being with that lady that, like I said, almost, well, I want to say almost, but that tried to steal my project. And I say the privilege because I walked away with like so many nuggets, like so much. So people don't know like what I had to go through. Like I made zero money. Um like I ended up being like homeless in Los Angeles. My family went from, that's the other thing. Um there's it takes thick skin. That's what I'll say. Because sometimes people don't know how to take or trying to use my words right. I'm trying to this video. So, anyways, I've been through a lot, and so I just think that anybody that's like starting their journey or going on their journey, and just because you haven't gotten whatever that opportunity, I technically have not gotten the opportunity that I'm really looking for. Like, if you talk to some of these people, I worked for SAG, and to see some of these people's income that you see on the TV, a lot of these people ain't making money like that. Some of them barely making what we would consider minimum wage,
Mhm.
and don't even qualify for health insurance.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. So everybody just needs to keep grinding.
And I'm glad you said that, you have to have thick skin and, persevere through, and because you do. You do.
Mm-hmm.
This is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's damn sure not for the faint of heart.
No.
Okay. And I think for me, speaking for me personally, I think my background, being a nurse and a nurse practitioner, that helped me develop that thick skin. Not to mention, I'm also a Army veteran. So, I mean,
Yeah. So you.
it's very little that you can do to me that will offend me
Mm-hmm.
or, get under my skin at this
Mm-hmm.
point in my life.
Yeah.
But that came with age, that came with experience, that came with lessons learned, that came with failure, that came with, getting up and dusting myself off and just keep moving and, grinding and, and you saying that is true. When you drop and you fall, I always say that, if you fell, you have two choices. You can lay there and stay there, or you can stand back up, because unless your legs are broken, and even then, you can crawl.
You can crawl.
There is no reason.
We have to learn how to walk in the first place. So.
Exactly. So I love that. And, and I think when speaking of John, I laugh because I had a runway audition one time, and the designer, he was like, "I'm sorry, I can't pick you," and I was like, "It's okay." And I knew him personally, and I was like, just because you know me, I'm not expecting you to like put me in your show. And then he actually came on the podcast, and he's like, it wasn't because I didn't want you in the show. He said, I just didn't have clothes to fit you. I said, I get that. I said, I appreciate you explaining yourself, but there was no need, because, like you said, everything is not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I know it costs money to make clothes.
Okay.
I know this. And if you don't have, something that's going to fit my 48 hips,
Mm-hmm.
I respect that. I get that, but it
Yeah.
doesn't stop me from trying. It doesn't stop me from going out and putting myself out there. And
Mm-hmm.
um it you do not know this, and probably the audience who's listened to me babble, they probably know this, but being in front of the camera, I didn't start getting in front of the camera until I was 44 years old. I used to run from pictures. You had a camera, I was in the opposite direction.
What made you like finally do it? Did you always want to act though?
I always wanted to be in entertainment in my soul. Like in school, I would dance, and then issues with my mom and things like that. I didn't continue doing those arts things that I enjoyed in school. So as an adult, after the kids were grown, and I decided this is me. Let me see where I can take me. So yeah, I started to really recognize the beauty within me without waiting for someone else to tell me, because I would always wait for someone that
Mhm.
outside gratification. And I said, bump this. I don't need no. You know, we're
Mhm.
gonna do this. And so um it took that level. So for individuals like John who come up and they're like, you didn't want me for that. And even in this, I had to tell myself, the role wasn't for me. I mean, I've had Hallmark auditions. I've auditioned for Yellowstone. I've had callbacks for both. But when you look at those projects,
You're
they're not
like,
for me. I read the breakdown and I know it's not for me.
but you're gonna go out there.
But I'm gonna go out there
Mhm.
because every audition is a great audition because it gets you in the room and it gets you seen.
Mhm. Yep. And somebody might remember you.
Hmm. I've been in front of this one casting director, I can't tell you, about 20 times for different roles. And every time I see, I'm like, oh, here's another one. Oh, here's another one. And I just keep sending and keep
Mhm.
sending and keep sending. And hey, it catches.
You are our honey, and I can say that after you read with John, when we ended the call, we both were like, oh, yes, we found her, because we knew we wanted Honey to be young. We wanted her to be vivacious and fashionable and pretty. We wanted her to be the young auntie that like could get it. You know what I'm saying? That could
Mhm.
step into the room and like stop the show. And so I'm like, okay, but John, if she can like read this, that's it. And I promise you, like when we ended that chemistry read, he and I like celebrated for a few minutes, like we found her. We found her. Yes. Like, because it's like it's the one thing like with the image, and then it's like, dang, but did she got the talent? Then you had the talent, and then the energy. We like, yes, we got it. Because we knew we felt like that was one of the roles that was like harder to cast. There were like many submissions, but either they weren't, we wanted some, you had to be chocolate. You had to be pretty, because the goal was to go against the world with this narrative
Mhm.
that you can't be dark skinned and pretty, or you can't be African and pretty, or whatever that, you know what I'm saying? You can't be fashionable. Bring all, that's why we cared about like the garments, and was, very went into that too. So we were so relieved. It was even it with Clemente as well, because we're like, okay, he fits the bill, but can he? And it's just, I'm like, look at God showing out, because we tried to do this. We were gonna do this about a year ago.
I remember because I also I put in for Honey when you
Oh,
first
you
did.
did?
Yep.
Yeah, it was something that didn't work out. I don't know if it was like it could have been finances or just not finding everybody. But and then we had felt like we found a Jacob, which was the role Clemente played. And the guy said like he really wanted it, and he was African, had the accent and everything. When it came down to it, we couldn't get in touch with him. So this time, even Sin, she had auditioned for Abby a while ago, and I'm like, I don't know if she's gonna be Abby, because for me, Abby was like a delicate flower, and Sin more has like my energy. Like, okay, I can be fun and youthful, but when it comes down to it, like I'm with the SHIT. So we
Right.
thought maybe she might be too strong. You know what I'm saying? Too strong to play Abby. And when we called her back and she auditioned and she had John on the ground and she was like, I got this. And I was like, okay, how can I say no now? Because I was even thinking, because we had another Abby before. I'm like, maybe we just need to stick to that. Because, it's not all about like, it's not all about one thing. And for me, I care about the attitude too. Who are you outside of it? Are you going to be a problem on set? Which there always has to be one. It always
Right.
has to be one. And I most of the time, to be honest, I've only probably 2 times since I've been pursuing this. It's probably been only 2 times when I've really like had to like go there with somebody, but it all matters. It really it all matters. And I don't know. I just feel like it's meant to be. And just like I said, I'm a person. Sometimes I get a little too deep, but when you're there writing the words and you see what God is doing, like you have to understand, when I first met John, we didn't want an African movie. It was never like this cultural thing.
Right.
But I was already in this journey of my life of trying to figure out who I am. Why do they hate us so much? Like, and so when I met John and trying to tell him, like, you think you cut out the accent? It was just like, and one day I had an aha moment. Like, girl, you've been trying to like figure out who you are in real life, trying to get more in touch with your roots. So I feel like everything like worked out. It's right on time.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you because, speaking of getting in touch with your roots, I learned that I was 57% Nigerian.
Gotcha.
And, Kenyan and Sierra Leone. And I'm like, I'm all the way African.
Gotcha.
And then talking to my family members and, aunties, and they just don't associate with that part of them. Because growing up, I'm a 70s, 80s baby, right? So we went to school. Even though I went to a Catholic school, we had other African students, and my teachers were African. I had a couple of teachers that were African students. Oh, you're an African booty scratcher. You're this. And, kids are ugly. All right. And even though people think you go to Catholic school, everything is holier than thou, that is the worst. Okay. I was bullied like nobody's business in Catholic school, but you come back to those narratives when you're growing up and you look at it and it's like, I don't want to be associated with that. I don't want to be that. So now as an adult, as you were saying, you're trying to figure out and reconnect all those pieces. And it's like, damn, they were really talking about me because this is me. This is who I am. So yeah, it's just, I think that was the piece that I also loved about This Is Love, because, it's all about being connected to who you are.
Your true authentic
your true authentic self. And yeah, I enjoyed the part of having to learn Swahili. Because I had a book of, speaking Swahili as a kid. So it brought me back to that. And it's like, oh, I remember that. And I actually looked up the book and bought it on Amazon because it actually just taught you Swahili. So it's just those pieces. Was it easy? Hell no, I'm not going to say it was easy. All right. But there's a value to it. There was a big value to it. And yeah, I just appreciate that. And I appreciate John speaking up too. And you listening and you saying, yeah, checking yourself. Like you said, you checked yourself like, hey, wait.
He actually did speak up. He was really, trying to like like cut off his accent, and it was just like, okay, buddy, this is not working. And just realizing, like, why are we even doing this? Like, why are we even like trying to like remove his accent? Like, why are we not leaning into it? Is I at this age, um, I'm so thankful for who I am because I've realized, and I wish that most people, or more people, I should say, will wake up to it. When you are your authentic self, that's when the blessings pour in. That's when the blessings come in. And we spoke about code switching. I'm not talking about, okay, when we go into corporate America, we have to be a certain way to make other people feel comfortable, whatever. You know, we at work, we gotta handle our business. But I mean in real life,
Yeah.
the things that matter are mattering to you. The truth that is what it is the truth that you standing on. I feel like right now in 2024, because we are going through an awakening, and I heard Amanda Seales say it, and when she said it, it made so much sense. She was like, Black people, are you realizing we are a new people? We are a new people. You know, we've been here for thousands of years, yes, technically, but as far as being Black Americans or being Black natives or being Black Asians, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
those of us that are here, we're so far removed from where our true roots are. And she was saying, so we've had to be innovative. We've created our own culture. Like we're a new species of people.
We
And
are.
when things get heated with me because, like I said, in my real life, when these doors are locked and I'm in here and we sitting at a table and we talking about real stuff, um, there are times when you have to kind of like back down a little bit, just because a friendship might be on the line and egos
But
get involved.
okay, but let's be honest. If they are truly your friends,
Mhm.
okay, you should be allowed to have those conversations in those friendship safe spaces.
Yeah.
Um, you don't have to agree on everything.
Hmm.
I mean, otherwise, why are you my friend? Why are we here?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be in my circle if I can't say how I truly feel.
Hmm. I agree. But with that being said, there's also um there's elements of where gender comes in.
Mm,
Some men, even in 2024, feel that your voice should always be lower than mine. Your opinion is always less weighted than mine. You can give me that. I can give you this advice, but you can't give me that advice. And that's not going, it's certain deal breakers, I guess I would say.
mm-hmm,
Like it's like we can all have an opinion, but if you capping for supremacy, we can't be friends. You can't cap for supremacy. You can't. Don't try to rewrite history. I'm okay if like, because there's certain stuff we're all ignorant to. We could read a book, we could jump on Google, watch a few documentaries, whatever.
mm-hmm,
But some people have too much self-hate. It's like it's on an egregious level. It not even just the self-hate, issues with their parents and their upbringings, which we all have, but not a lot of people is so deep down in there that it's spewing out everywhere. And for me, even with my writing, I'm just a mirror. And anything, any character, the villain, the hero, whatever, that's all me. I
mm-hmm.
have both of those sides to me. I'm just a mirror. So whatever you resonate with is whatever you resonate with. And so in those conversations, I've had somebody, and he's probably going to see this. I had somebody ask me, how do you do it being single without a man on your side? Like how I can. And at the time when it's you know when you have those moments where you go back later like I was supposed to be fucking offended.
Right.
I was supposed to put him in his place right then and there. But I guess it didn't all the way register. And somebody said, she's probably peaceful. You know, somebody said that. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I was just in a relationship for a really long time. Like, I'm super focused. And I guess since I have been in a long relationship for a long time and then a situationship thereafter, right now, it's just, I'm focused on me and my daughter. And so I don't even, it just hasn't registered because it hasn't been long enough, I guess, for me to be single, for me to, it just don't feel different. I don't know. Maybe it would if I were back in a relationship because then I have this person to consider. But the fact that he asked the question, a woman, no one would ever think to ask a man, how do you do it without a woman?
No.
So that's another thing that I'm realizing being a woman in this industry. And I don't know if it's because I'm from California or the family that I have or the friends that I have, but never really had to like, I never, you know, you hear people talk about feminism and why it's important and stuff. It never registered with me like that. But I feel like the more I work, I am encountering it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people even sometimes don't want to take direction or might want to challenge something,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just because they feel like they're the man, you know. There's certainly, you know, I said in a meeting with This Is Love, and you know, you go into a meeting with your DP, you know, you trying to, what is the vision? What are we doing here? And you say something and, you know, you get this look and well, we can't do that because of X, Y, and Z. And they try to use these big words like, you know, I don't have all this education as far as being in the industry for 20 years.
Right.
And then it's like, you don't want to speak up because it's like, damn, you're going to think I'm a bitch. And then finally, after 5 minutes of these two men, they're talking to each other. And when you say something, it's kind of like, yeah, nah, we ain't gonna do, but I'm the director. And then you have to put your foot down. Like, no, that's what we're doing.
Right.
And you're doing too much right now. Then it's like, you kind of have to say it. So, and again, going back to code switching, it's like you want to just be just your bubbly self. You want to just walk into a room like you're kicking it with your friends and y'all about to eat some barbecue or something. But the reality is, and you can only have these type of friendships. And I can remember a supervisor telling me this a very long time ago at a call center. You can only be friends with the people that work under you or work with you, whatever, if they understand. Are you still? Oh, okay. I look like a gross person, but if they understand that they still got to do their job,
Right.
if our friendship is about to come in between you doing your job, oh, we can't be friends because I know that we started this relationship. We came together to work, and I can be your friend, I can be your confidant, but when it come to work, I'm still going to expect you to work. So that's the downside of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you almost can't be too nice because and it doesn't happen because there's a lot of people that most of the time people are professionals and they can get down with you when it's, you know, you having a little fun, but then they understand the transition. But there's always like one or two people. It's confusing, I'll say.
I can totally agree with that. I experienced it more on the nurse and education side for me, because I'm a nurse practitioner and I'm also a nurse educator on the outside. So when I'm teaching, the students have a different version of me in the classroom. I need you to get the information. I need you to understand it. I'm going to do whatever bells and whistles, stand on my head, whatever I need to do to get you to understand the complexity of what we're doing.
Yeah.
When we get in the clinic, that's a whole different me. There, you know, I'm not going to tell you to 3-4 times to do something. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I told you once, I gave you the expectation. I expect you to execute when we get on that unit.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had students come to me and say, "You're intimidating." And I was like, "What? Pardon me?" They say, "Yeah, you're different than when you're in the classroom." I said, "Because
You're doing your job. You like got.
mm-mm. We have people's actual lives
Mm-hmm.
that we are dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to understand that complexity and that urgency in the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, there'll be times when we can tee hee tee ha when
Mm-hmm.
we're in conference or whatever. I said,
Mm-hmm.
but when we on this unit, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think people don't realize that. They think you're being a different person. I'm like, no, I'm still me.
Yeah.
But how Donkey say and Shrek said, there's layers to this onion.
Period. It's just like, and if your students, once they get in the clinic and they don't do something right, it's gonna fall back on you, not just them, you too. You know,
Mhm.
like.
Yeah, and like you, time, right?
Mhm.
If we don't run on time, if you're late and you're not doing and in your spot and we're not doing, that takes time away from what we're doing.
Yeah.
And as you get older in this, I want to say older in this business, but as you grow in this business,
Mhm.
you'll learn time is money.
Time.
Always.
Oh, it literally is money.
Always. Time
Always.
is always
Mhm.
money.
Yep.
So
Don't
and
go on the overtime.
no.
You might have a set group of people. I ain't tripping. We could do overtime. Then you got people over here. Hell no. You're gonna pay me if I stay. You're gonna pay me triple whatever the thing. People don't get it. People don't get it. Even when we did This Is Love, and the boom operator said to me, "I know you're mad. You're mad. You're pissed. You can just show it. It's okay." And I have to put this thing in my head, because even when I was saying I didn't feel well for about a week, well, I've been having, like, I wouldn't even call it, my best friend was saying they're tension headaches, but I was having like this thing with my head, like to where it felt like it's in my ears, and I would get like dizzy and just, and then somebody said it's stress. You're stressing. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm stressing. Like, but you know what? I probably was. And so when people talk about controlling your emotions, I literally have to do it. And it's like, I'm not like talking no BS. No, not like when this person was late and like we were calling her, and of course it put us behind. And I was like, there's nothing I can do about it. I
No.
can stand here, and if I get an attitude right now with her, and I'm going in on her, one, that's going to affect her when she do get here. Okay, that may make her not even want to come. That can spiral into, now I got this big ass attitude and I'm taking it out on y'all. Now y'all don't want to work. I have to think ahead. I have to be aware of this potential domino effect. And there have even been times, like I said, when people will like try you in front of other people. And most of the time, especially if I know I'm dealing with ego or some sort of insecurity, I can let it go, because I will not sacrifice the mind and energy of the other people so I can check you right here, right now. Now, if if it's a situation where it has to be done, that's another thing. But I've had to learn that, because I literally can get so stressed out. And like I said, dealing with this head thing, I was like, well, is it stress? Because if it's stress, I have a lot of pent up like stress, and we're talking, and I come from a family where everything is about screaming at the top of your lungs, throwing stuff, getting physical. I have worked on myself a lot. And so that's why I say, like, even like coming into a room, going back to the teenager I was, and when I say before the stress came in life, before all the disappointments came in life, people don't see, okay, well, I like somebody said, you ain't that nice. I'm not. I'm kind. I'm very kind. I have a good heart. But when I walk into a room, I don't have a reason to have a chip on my shoulders, if you will. You know, sometimes, you know, when you're in filmmaking, you have a lot going on. You don't have time for whatever. But I had to really work. I was in anger management for a full year. A full year. I've been through a lot. So when people see, you know, the girl that, you know, may ignore, you know, somebody's nasty attitude or a jab or whatever, it is not, you know, and this could apply to anybody. It's not because they're a pushover. It's not because they didn't hear it. It's not because they don't care. It's because they have literally, me, myself, have done so much work. And especially when you're a person that come from a lot of trauma, things trigger you. You know what I'm saying? And being aware of those triggers. And somebody said, just respond with sarcasm. So that's what I do a lot of times. I just, you know, somebody might say something like, even when the guy said, "Oh, you know, what would you ain't got? How you do this without a man?" You know, you think for a second, but then you, ha ha ha, like, you know. So I don't know.
No, I mean, and you touched on a lot of great points there. You know, first of all, how your energy can impact others around you. You know, you got somebody in there, you know, I don't want to say like egging you on, letting you know, like, okay, yes, you can visually see I'm upset. You don't need to tell me, you know, I'm upset. You see it. I mean, I saw it. You know, and so you don't need anyone to say that. So you got to ignore that piece, right?
You already you overriding. You trying to focus on.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just those things, and, you know, growing from that. And I appreciate you saying that you had a lot of growth and you had anger management, because a lot of people of color will not admit that. And, you know, a lot of us won't do the work, and it's work. And it's constant work. You don't just go into these sessions and finish and, you know, think there's no continued work after. There's always continued work, because you're always going to have somebody trying you. So, and I mean, I recently left jobs because I felt myself like going to a place. I'm like, you know what? You're not going to take me there. I'm just not. The minute I think I'm going to say F you, I gotta go, because after F you, a lot of things are going to come. Once I let it out, it's over. It's done. I'm packing my office, because I know you firing me, because I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, so it's work. And it, you know, and again, you talked about triggers, right? We all have them. Even people who say, "Oh, there's nothing that trigger." I had a guest who was like, "Yeah, I had this very happy home. I had my mom, my dad," and I'm like, and all I can say is like, "What? Okay, no, you have triggers. Okay, you just have not sat down to identify what they are." Or cared enough to find out what they are. But we all have triggers. And unfortunately, many of us in the Black and Brown community have tons of them. We're living with adverse childhood traumas that, you know,
go through generations.
Goes right. And I try to tell people of non-color that they have their own set of generational trauma, right? And they don't understand how that is possible, because my family weren't enslaved. My family, it says, everyone that's in this America came from somewhere. Unless you are Native, Apache, Hope, you're not from here. And I think they forget that the first people that they let on ships to come here were murderers, thieves, and their vagrants, right? All their degenerates. Okay.
I just when talking about them, it's just like, Anyways,
It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Yeah. Because
Um,
we do try to do our work. We try to do our work, and they want us to do their work too.
yes, yes, and no, the years of that have gone. I'm not doing your work and mine. Right. So I appreciate that you do the work, because I'm not saying you've done the work. You do the work because, like I said, we continue to do it. And people continue to try you. And I'm a big component. I said, try Jesus, just don't try me.
Better preach. Try Jesus. Yeah, try Jesus.
So yes, and I think my facial expression saves a lot of people from getting a lot of my backlash, because they'll tell you, I saw it.
We all know the face.
Right. They say, I saw it on her face before she opened her mouth. That's your first warning, kind of thing. So the amount of, I don't think people realize the amount of control and self work that you did and continue to do in those kind of positions, especially being a director, because you're dealing with so many personalities.
So many. Yes.
The
projecting of it all. We all, my best friend said to me, I'm like, I need to stop. Like, sometimes, am I projecting right now? Like, we like challenge each other. Like, just tell me. And she said, we all project, positive and negative. And the truth is, when you're a good person, you assume everybody else is good. You naturally assume that. Oh, they're here for these reasons, for that, blah, blah, blah. When you're a bad person, you assume everybody's bad. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or that. So that's been a lesson too. To stop like projecting myself onto others, because even when we talk about like cultures, and everybody's not ready for that walk. Everybody, because some years ago I wasn't, and you even said when we were younger, if somebody thought you was African, oh, we about to fight. What? You know what I'm saying? Because we, at that time, when you called somebody an African, it meant you was black and you was ugly. Yep. Period. Nobody was checking for brown skin, dark skin. It was all about, even my mom was just talking about this the other day. When she was growing up, it was all about light skin with pretty hair.
Yes.
And we still deal with that to a degree today. And everybody's trying to wake up and, black people this and black people that. And I really feel like, I'll just say this. Like I said earlier, there's something they know about us, and we're starting to find it out now. Because the way the entire globe has decided to come against one genre of people, you all hate us. We're the scum, we're this and we're that. Now we're waking up to, oh, wait, hold on. What is it about me? Like, I'm actually beautiful. And now that we're realizing now they want to kind of cosplay who we are. Now everybody want to be black. Now everybody wants baby hair. Braids used to be ghetto and this and that. Now everybody want braids. Now everybody want locks. We're the ones that put, long fingernails on now everybody want to have long, dressing in sweats and this and that. You look hood. Everybody's doing it.
Yes.
So it's like the minute we step into ourselves, now you want to take that over.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, I agree with your mom, because my mom is of that Southern black Geechee kind of.
Yeah, Geechee. Geechee woman. Well, she's the, I don't know if we would say descendant, but I kept telling you stop, because she had a thick accent. And she kept saying, no, I'm from, I think she said North Carolina. It was something South. She said, I'm not from Africa. I'm like, you could just tell the truth. Like, I didn't believe her.
Yeah, she probably Gullah Geechee.
Yeah, that's what she was.
Yeah, so because my dad is South Carolina, and to hear him talk, he's got the same kind of twang. But you say that about being fair skinned and that being more accepted. To be honest, that's the reason why I did not have children with someone who was Black like me. Because growing up, seeing that, and everybody who was light skinned got all the attention and got all these privileges, and me being dark skinned, it was like I was teased and made fun, all these things, happening. So I made a point in my head, if I had kids, I was going to have kids by someone who was Hispanic, who was lighter than me. And I did. My kids are half Puerto Rican, and as you saw, Maya's much lighter than I am, and her sister's lighter than she is. So people don't realize how that narrative really sticks with us. And I had them at 20, so that's how long that narrative stayed with me, that I refused. Now, I dated Black guys, but I wasn't having kids by any.
It's a lot. And people need to hear that too, because it kind of validates, those stories, and what, like, it's a couple of people that popped to my mind. That's a very real thing.
Yeah, it's very real. And I love that today we're all being celebrated. And I think today it probably definitely would have been a different narrative for me and having children. But yeah, that really impacts you.
Yeah.
And then, this is it. And I tell my kids, and I tell them, and they looked at me like, Mom, what are you talking? I said, no, I wanted pretty kids because I wasn't very pretty. And I didn't want you to have that. So, to grow up and be teased because you were ugly. So I think that's what really pissed me off when Maya came home. It was like, they told me I was ugly. I was like, what?
I spread my leg. No, I'm just like,
I worked hard for that shit not to happen. Do you know what I had to endure with your father to get this?
Oh my goodness.
But that's, it's a real, it is real. It is real. And no, I mean, their father, is not the greatest of anything. Like my husband now is my husband, but their dad, but he was Puerto Rican.
And you didn't want them to have to go through that.
I didn't want them to have to go through that.
Yeah.
So, sharing those narratives and that understanding, I just really don't think people understand how deep that really goes in our psyche and the triggers that happen in that, and with those. And everybody says, well, everyone has triggers. Yeah, but everyone has triggers, but it's how you deal with them and how you cope with them, and being able to identify them.
Yeah.
And remove yourself, right?
That's the name of the game. When I was in therapy, so the I had to take anger management because I did some stuff. My anger had led me astray. But I would say it's crazy that, because like I have a sister that I have a couple sisters that are chocolate skin, and I have a brother that's darker, and I can definitely remember my sister, she felt away because my best friend and I were both tall, almost the same complexion, and people would think that she was my sister, not my actual sister. And she went through and she was like quiet, very sweet, like there was no reason why she should have been treated differently. And it's just so weird because I was talking to her like, dang, because she has her lips are perfect. They're like, they have how Rihanna's lips are, where they're like
oh yes,
like God drew them on. Skin is perfect. If I show you a picture of her, it's weird to think that you guys believe the lie. But if we're being honest, we all believe the lie. because back in the day they had us drawing boats of Christopher Columbus and celebrating him, you know, and we don't even know why.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I do, you know, somebody that's kind of close to me, and it pisses me off and almost brings me to tears because this person is beautiful. This person to me is a good-hearted person. Um, and so much self-hate.
Mm-hmm.
And just so many issues, and it's almost hard if a person isn't aware of that. It's almost hard to have a friendship with somebody like that when there's so much self-hate, because just everyday life, I guess maybe it's my everyday life, the way I live my life, it's hard to, and of course, like, we all have our own insecurities, but we're not talking about that. Like, I think, and even connecting it to This Is Love, like, that's why I know, like, it was like God's design, because what it ended up being, putting this African American woman in the center of this African family that live African, eat African, talk, that's the culture, that's this, that we know
Mm-hmm.
outsiders. Um, and showing that they could come together in spite of those different, taking two polar opposites. Egypt's this doctor,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's taking care of his family. Abby's this ex-stripper, you know, that don't feel like she need a man. Um, and so marrying those two together, and also thinking about it in the grand scheme of life, the journey of a screenwriter, all of it goes together. And when we break down scripts and stuff, I tell them, like, I've always been trained, like, as a screenwriter, the hero he only becomes a hero when he challenges, when he overcomes what's in the inside. So what we see on the screen is just a physical manifestation of what our main character is going through. So that's the secret of screenwriting. So if I need to win this freaking race, that's what the movie is all about, you know, race cars. But my fear is that, I don't know, I'm not like my daddy. You know, my daddy is a big hero and I'm not like him. This character can only win this big race in this film once he internally overcomes that fear and recognizes his own power. So a lot of times in audiences, you know, as we watch movies, we're not thinking that deep, but that's the truth of it. That's why we connect to certain characters. That's why The Color Purple is a classic. That's why certain movies, because we connect with certain things. So it's the same thing, just all the time with every character, and that's what it is in our own real life.
Yeah.
We only get on top of that mountaintop when we are looking within. And I know right now it's the thing to be positive, but I'm talking about some ugly stuff. This
Yeah.
stuff is not pretty. Everybody want to say, oh, be positive. Oh, I can remember one of my friends telling me, and I was going through something, and when she would tell me be positive, I would just get so irritated. Talking about, like, I'm struggling, this is happening, blah blah blah. But thank the Lord I get it now, because what she was telling me, it sounds so simple when somebody that understands and grasps it.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple to them because they've already been practicing it, but it's very true. Like, once you tackle that mind, and then it can't be no pretend thing. You can't
Yes.
fool. You can't fool the mind. You can't fool God. You can show up everything looking all right, but no. Once you tackle those demons and you show up and you're ready to face them, and that's something that goes on for the rest of your life. Because once I get over this demon, it's another one that's gonna come. You know, sometimes it ain't even mine. You know what I'm saying? And you got to figure out how to slay it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's even the connection between life's journey and the journey of characters in film. And that's why my slogan for Tiana Phelice Production is creating art for film, stage, and healing. Because
Mm-hmm.
when I write something, and I don't have to always explain, oh, that was me. Like I said that to such a, I get to release it. And then I
Mm-hmm.
get to watch people go into it over and over and over again. And every time it's like breaking a chain. And if people, I just hope and pray that people could somehow realize, like, right now everybody's talking about manifestation and it's this new word, quote unquote. It's
Right.
not new.
It's not.
It's a fad right now. But when you get in touch with yourself, and I'm talking about like just whatever's real for you. And when I was in there, I had to realize I gotta cut people. I gotta love people, and
Yeah.
it, your boundaries. I seen a quote that says your boundaries got to be stronger than your feelings.
Yes.
So it's like, dang, it's a lot of people that I really love dearly. Like I'm talking siblings that I'm not in
Mm-hmm.
touch with because I can't be that anymore.
Yeah.
Going back to the earlier conversation, code switching, getting around family and trying not to, I don't want you to think, oh, because people say, oh, you think you too good.
Yeah.
So now I'm over here pretending like I care about this damn conversation. I'm jumping in, gossiping, and I don't even care. And then I'm feeling all icky. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that I think that screenwriting in many ways has like saved has definitely saved me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it actually added to your growth,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yeah, I mean, you touched on the whole positivity and manifestation, and yeah, it's a new fad word for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I have always been that person. I mean, I think now growing into it, I've kind of tapped into myself a little bit more. I'm a very intuitive individual, and very empathic.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ain't it a blessing and a curse?
oh, Jiminy Crickets, I tell you.
Lord have mercy.
I had you come home and you got the Palo Santo and the sage, and you're kind of saging and getting it all together, and it's very real. It's
Mm-hmm.
very real, and I am that. I have that Pollyanna attitude
Yeah.
going into things, and I had to watch myself from
Mm-hmm.
saying that to people. You got to find the positive in it, and it's like I said, everybody's not ready
Yeah.
for those words, and I used to be that person too that wasn't ready for those words. Like, how you tell me I got to be ready for this, and I got to figure out this, and I got,
Yeah.
there is, it is one of those things, and I'm one of those. I am a very cliche kind of person where everything I have a quote for
Yeah.
everything
Me
in
too.
life, and you know, and one of my favorites is, the master has failed more often than the student has tried, and I use that one a lot because people always like, I'm a failure, I'm a failure, I'm a failure. And I said, you have to have some level of failure to
Mm-hmm.
have success. The people you see on the big screen, the people you see making the millions of dollars, the people, unless they just had some kind of fluke like Zuckerberg or something like that, which is like maybe 0.5% of the population,
Mm-hmm.
so rare, you know, um, they had a level of failure,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all what you do with that, and how you grow out of it. I used to say, oh, I'm defeat, this is this, and I'm like, are you defeated? Like, are you done? And they're like, no, I'm going to come back tomorrow. I said, then you just wounded. Fix your wounds, patch them up, and you keep moving.
Yeah.
You know, and your scars are those reminders that I fell a couple of times, but I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about our families and things like that, and having to cut people off, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy
Mm.
because we've been in these roles for so long,
Talk about it.
right? I still have to check myself when I go home and kind of revert back into that,
Because that's what's safe. That's what's safe.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
then it's like, no, I can't do that. This is who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
you know being authentic in yourself and in your skin, even in those areas where it's not going to be
Mm-hmm.
accepted.
Yep.
And sometimes that is your own home, or your family home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had to remind myself, then this is not my home. I'm just visiting.
It's really, I get to go home.
I get to go.
Shoo.
I get to shed this stuff off, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I'm like, I'm glad you said that, because I don't think people realize that, um, one, the journey is not easy. Two, there's always going to be a fall, a scrape, or something in this journey. You're going to have to change paths at some point. Get
Mm-hmm.
off the road that you've been traveling, going nowhere, and you're going to have to veer off to the left and right. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes veering off to the left may be wrong. You might have to backtrack and go to the right, or maybe go back straight ahead, whichever the direction, right? We have that. And I don't think people realize that life doesn't come with a rule book.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Uh,
Embracing it all. Embracing it all. They talk about we fight. We fight the battle so much. We stress, we fight it. And again, I'm not even trying to, I know everything. It's gonna sound easier said than done. But everybody should just try it.
mhm.
When that battle comes, just roll with it.
Just
Just
roll with it.
don't even try to fix it.
Mm-mm.
And that has brought me so much peace. I'm the oldest of my siblings. I have a lot of sisters. I would always try to fix everything. Sometimes I would apologize for stuff I don't even
I know.
I don't think it happened like that, but okay, because I want to be able to hang out with you, and you know,
Mhm.
sometimes you do apologize for things that you did do. That's the other keep the accountability of it,
Yes.
accountability, and recognizing um, people have versions of the story because from their eyes and from where they see, they sit, it's something different, but and I get emotional when I talk about it. I think because it's still so new for me, recognizing the
Mhm.
power that I have, and this is a power that has nothing to do with money or status or anything,
Mhm.
recognizing the power that I have by trusting. And we think sometimes we pray, oh God, give me da 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 da. God help me. I promise you. It's like you pray for something, especially when you're trying to become strengthened in the area. Oh, you about to
You got
battle.
yep.
Because that's
The
the only
Lord.
way it can happen. That's and just realizing that, like, oh my goodness. So this is how it works. And so now I'm letting things flow. Just letting it flow. And I found so much peace there. In speaking of my head hurting, and I was trying to think on like, gosh, when did this start? And I can just remember screaming my head off, talking to one of my sisters on the phone, trying to get her to see
Mm-mm.
my side of things. And I was, when you screaming so loud, your head will bust.
Yes.
And after the conversation, I realized she knows what you're talking about. She knows exactly what it is, but she ain't gonna never acknowledge. She ain't never gonna give it to you because then she gotta look at herself, and that's the thing.
That's it.
So it's just so much, I'm so thankful for like my parents and for the generations that I come before, because I also feel like right now we're living in an era where we're so liberated and feel so free. Oh, I'm not gonna. My mama did this or this happened when blah 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 blah. But we don't count. But they did better than their parents. and they became stronger than their parents, and they became more liberated. So I feel like we can stand up here and say these things and move forward with these things because our parents have like they paid the price too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so anyways, it's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. And, people don't realize you deal with that with your siblings, you deal with it with your own children.
I told my daughter, I think you're my lesson.
Right.
Because she has to calm. My daughter is more quiet. She's a quiet version of me.
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you how I feel. She's no, I'm just gonna go and I'm just gonna, even one of my birds died recently, and I screamed. You would have thought it was.
Oh,
I mean, the bird is this little. The bird this little, and I'm falling all out. Oh, I'm trying to give the bird CPR. My daughter come running upstairs, and I could tell she wanted to cry. And so that was a lesson for me because I'm not trying to steer her away from not showing her emotions, but she sees, oh, my mom is distraught. I got to be strong for her. So it's a lesson for me. Sometimes I have to, okay, this is breaking me down so that she can feel free to, you know what I mean? So anyways, so it's a lot to it.
It's man, it's a lot, and it's like I said, you deal from it from all angles, from being a child, your siblings, your uncles, aunts, and your own children, and it's growth. And you're not responsible for the version of you that lives in somebody else's head. I told you I'm a cliche person.
No,
But
because that's
you can't, and I have to tell myself that, because my oldest daughter and I are not as close as we used to be. And it's just because, again, I'm not responsible for the versions of me that she has in her head. I wish it was better, and one day it will be. But you can't be,
yeah,
because you'll be that person that's always apologizing, and and I literally had to say, I can't keep apologizing for that, for those things. I mean, I can't.
Yep.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. It's like
And
being a prisoner,
yes.
but you've grown, and so like so many things have changed. And
Yes. That's like, they don't recognize the version of you that's there, that's, like you're doing all these things, right? And instead of your family seeing, that piece, and seeing the growth of you, and embracing you as, for me, I'd be like, yeah, I got a new sister. What's up? How you doing? What's good? Where we going? What we doing? You know, that's in the way to approach it. But again, it requires that person to be accountable for themselves and their actions, and their role in being toxic, because we all play a role, right?
oh yeah,
And and it's not saying, for the roles in my daughter's life, it's not saying that I am innocent. Hell no. I'm a mother.
yeah. You just
We
like can't live in that place like forever.
Right. So, it's just like those things, and I refuse to be held captive in that place. Like you refuse to be held captive as that person. You've
Yep.
taken that opportunity to say, you know what? Here's my boundary. I'm done.
Yep. Period. And you're just like, I'm a grown up now. Are we talking about when I was 15? Are we talking about when I was 22? Like, girl, I'm about to be 40 now. You expect from me to be able to go back and tell the teenage person, oh, that was rude. Don't say that to her. That hurt her feeling.
Right. No. And that's why my daughters don't talk to each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For that same reason, because one is holding,
Right. Yeah.
you're 26 and 28 years old. You are grown women, like full grown. you know? So it runs deep. It runs deep. And, even though, people say, I'm doing the work, and you will have those people, right? Who say,
Mhm.
I'm doing the work. I'm doing all these things. You can't really truly be doing the work if you're still in that
Our
same
brain. Mhm. Yeah.
space.
Still
And I don't
pointing
know if
finger.
you've heard that.
Mhm. Pointing out, because it's like the fact of the matter is, I just seen this book on Facebook. It said, forgiving what you can't forget. If something freaking happens, it happens. I mean, I can't. You can't say to a person like, "Oh well, like that's old." Like once I take accountability for something,
Mhm.
and you forgive me, and we move on. The rule is, and I'm talking even if you in a relationship and your man done cheated, if you forgive him, you don't get to bring it up again.
It's done.
You think this is a weapon you get to keep in your arsenal? So every time you get mad at me, no matter how small it is, you get to go back and retro.
Right.
Like you get to go back and bring up some from 10 years ago that we already moved on from. So
Hmm.
that's when you realize it's not really about me. Because a person, it's like, and I know this because I've been that person. Like I have been like, I I remember going through a stage where I literally blame my mom for everything. Like my life is like this because of you. You didn't teach me this, and I didn't know this, and I had to go through this. Like I really would point the finger at her. That's what I knew how to do at the time. Were there some things she could have done differently? Sure. But what I would say is once you become a parent, oh, you see things totally different. Then you see, oh, you was trying to do the best you could. You know,
Exactly.
especially your first child. Like I only have one. She's getting all of the good and the bad. There's no second child that I get to pass on like what I learned from this child. Maybe when she has a baby, she'll see it differently. But yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's one of those things, like you said, you just never stop doing the work.
Hmm.
You give them the space, and you create the boundaries, and you have your own set of boundaries. They have their own set of boundaries, and guess what? I'm gonna let you do what you need to do,
Hmm.
and I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's all we can do as parents, as
Hmm.
sisters. I mean, listen, I'm not going to entertain your BS,
Can't
but
do it.
once you've grown and you want to come back over and we can have a conversation like normal human beings,
Mm.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. But until then, once you start going in that direction, I'm going to
Mm.
have to cut it off.
It's too
You know,
much.
it's too much. And you have a choice.
Hmm.
There's one thing in life that we have an infinite number of, and that's choices.
Hmm.
And so, you're choosing you. And I applaud you for that because a lot of us don't choose us, especially women.
Yeah. Tiffany. Yeah. It's easy to say now. It's easy to say now, but I'm still going through. I'm still.
Mhm.
It's an everyday thing. It is a everyday thing.
Mhm.
Um, I just hope that women continue to move forward as far as we didn't have a choice before. Our goal was to move out the house and get married. Actually, getting married was how we got out the house and be taken care of by a man because we didn't have choices before. So the same way that we as a people were always, indentured servants somewhere, we were always a maids or the cooks, whatever. We have choices now. And I really, it's easier said than done. I have to keep saying that. But it's time for us to reclaim like a sisterhood. My best friend always says the village. Where is the village? We we are at an awakened stage in life right now, but there's a lot of toxicity in life as well. There's the good and the bad. You got the girlies, trying to be taken care of, getting the BBLs and doing whatever they got to do. You got the men that's still only checking for, the mixed woman. I see it all the time. It's something that is so regular that it is crazy. And it's crazy that I can even in my mind register like Okay, clock that. Like, it's just so weird. But people, especially as men, they're exposing themselves. They're not even realizing. You're telling me how much you actually hate yourself.
Yes.
Exposing the problems you have with your mother. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when people men think you think getting down with all these girls, you're telling me you have a problem with your sexuality. Your people don't they're not thinking that deep. You
Right.
know, you can say, "Oh, you're my friend. I'm loyal to you." You know, you can't be loyal to me because you are not actually loyal to your wife or to your woman. So I would never trust you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
People don't think that deep, and I think that's also another reason why it's hard to find your in group, because a lot social media has it has a lot of people thinking they can really just add water and
Mm-hmm.
be what it is. In fact, I deleted like all my personal pages, all my social media, except with the exception of Facebook, which is the app I hate the most, but that's where my family is. That's the only personal page. Everything else is business. And I even told somebody, he was like, did you delete me from such and such? Did you don't like my pictures? I'm like, I'm not rocking with you right now. I don't want to see you on my timeline.
Right.
Do that. Like, if I ain't feeling you in real life, I don't want your energy. Why do I want to see you on on my social media and then like your picture just because? Like, no, I'm not doing that. But I can understand, and it's going. The whole conversation is tying together. The playing the game and the I'm only gonna play the game, but so far. Um,
Right.
so my goal is like for my daughter, you have a choice. I don't give a damn. Society can call you if you don't want to get married or you don't find your husband until such and such. Do
That's
not settle. I do not care. I do not care. I can remember me working on having a second baby, and both of my best friends got pregnant at the same time. As a
wow.
matter of fact, both of their babies' birthdays are within one. One had twins, and they came the day before my birthday, and
Wow.
another one came a few days before my birthday. And I did not have baby. I did not have a second baby. And the stuff that they went through, and they Tiana, just chill, just you don't want this. Um, and so I realized, like, dang, like God's been having my back so much. I can even remember getting pregnant one time and having a miscarriage, and then found out the guy had like PTSD and some other stuff, and just it's I don't know. It's I feel like certain things are predestined.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my ancestors are with me all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want my writing to be just entertainment. I'm
Yes.
manifesting something here. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to. We don't have. We don't have Martin Luther King. We don't have a Malcolm X. Those days of having a great leader like that, I don't know if they're completely long gone. But I always say to my daughter, your soul has to go somewhere.
Yes.
And so I don't know if it's my full purpose just yet. I'm sure that there are other things, but I just hope that my projects kind of resonate with people on a deeper level. Um, until we get to the point where we don't have to, then we could just be having fun.
Right. And I that's what I love about your projects, because it brings out the reality without all the and I don't want to knock anybody's projects or anything like that, but we we've just taken our narrative and made it so cliche.
Mhm.
And I don't want to have I don't want to be, the crackhead, the prostitute mom, and you know yes, we have issues, and we can deal with those and showcase those in
Mhm.
our edutainment as we do, without degrading the person that we are.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, why can't we be the successful, or whoever parent who has triggers because of
Right. Why can't we just be general Americans that
yeah,
have issues like everybody else?
yes, Right. And, and I think that's the part that I really do appreciate about, what you're doing in film. And like I said, I'm blessed to be a part of that. And it definitely was some divine intervention going on there for that, for sure, because I have to tell you, the energy on set was amazing. Um, and it was just like comfortable, and I felt like everybody's auntie, and that was the piece
Mhm.
right there. I felt like everybody's auntie, um, and that made my heart happy
Yeah,
because
family.
it was family. It wasn't like I was coming on to a set. I'm going to try not to cry here. Sorry. It didn't feel like I was coming on set. It felt like I was coming to see my family, to say hello,
Mhm.
to say hi, to hang out for a little bit. It just happened to be cameras around,
Yeah.
right? That's what it felt like to me.
Mhm.
And that's what I want. That's what I love that you showcase. And that's what I love when you get that energy and you're
Mhm.
preparing us. It was just like we came on the set, hey nephew, hey auntie, hey, it was like automatic, and that's the beauty in it. And yeah, you hold a special place, and I thank you. I thank you for that. um and the team, the we had hiccups.
Child.
No family's perfect.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say that. Child.
It is what it is.
I know, I
No
know.
family is perfect, but
My PA getting screamed out, "Josiah!" Yeah, it's all kind of little fires going on. It was a
you
good
know,
show.
but it's okay. It's okay. It's it's amazing. And for all those out there, I made my first fufu yesterday,
Okay, I gotta make mine.
and it
Oh,
was good.
you said yours are vegan, right? You're vegan.
hmm
Okay. So what did you do mushroom or what'd you do to
I
get
use, huh? To
what'd you
do
do?
uh, lentils. So I made like a spicy lentil, and it was so good.
Okay.
So, and I spiced up my fufu really nicely. So my fufu had a kick as well as the meal
Mm.
with some cabbage and carrots and cauliflowers. It was good. So
It has to be cornmeal? It has to be cornmeal?
no, so I use cassava.
Cassava. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I use cassava. So it doesn't have to be like the one we made was like a quick and down and dirty.
Yeah.
But the original is cassava. So I actually had cassava and cooked that down and then did the whole
Yeah.
grounding and
That was
yeah.
that was watch when we see watch when this sizzle comes out because you know it's gonna be a sizzle reel. It's not
Oh,
just gonna be like a trailer, and we're gonna
nice.
enter it into festivals. But just imagine making the movie. Like imagine like how touching this movie could be. Like it's deeper than what we even had for the sizzle, because it was
Yeah.
condensed, but
How touching it will be.
yes, it will be. How
It
touching
will
it
be.
will be.
It
Mhm.
will. And yeah, so I want to thank you so much for so many things, for being, a part of your production, for I mean, you're like my little sister. You're like
Thank
in
you.
there. Um and you talk about building a village. Yeah, you have to build a village, and I will say not everybody's welcome in my village.
Not everybody nope. No.
And those who are in my tight village, they're some pretty amazing people, pretty amazing. And I'm so honored to have you a part of that village. And I think it's just going to grow from there for
Yeah.
you, for your projects, for everything that we are both touching,
Mhm.
right? The things that we're
Let it
touching,
multiply.
it just
Multiply.
right. It's just going to multiply. And I think the team that you have, and I just love that you keep using the same people. It's just, it's amazing. And I see why. I
Mhm.
see why. Um, they're amazing actors.
Mhm.
Really. I mean, I watched them again, like they're my nieces and nephews. So I watched them on Instagram and I was in tears. Did you see Sin's rendition? She did
Oh,
a
yeah, yeah.
August.
Mhm. She said,
I
yeah. Mhm.
I watched that so
Well,
many times, and I even told her, I said, you know what? You just ignited something in me that I'm pulling out all of my. I have every last one of August Wilson's plays, every last one.
he's my favorite.
I said, now I'm going to pull out his plays, and I said, I'm going to work on a piece because I shy away from it just for the language and the vernacular and
Right.
the complexity of it for me,
Complex, yeah. It is.
you know. And so I shied away from it. I said, but seeing her do that, I said that it was powerful. And
Sin is a monster. I mean, like a monster when it comes to, like, she's really good. She's really, really good. I have some stuff to talk to you about, like, when we jump off here. I wanna put all the business out.
yeah, yeah, we'll share. But yeah, so I just, the piece, but the I want to have everybody come back when the sizzle is done and everyone has a moment because
Mhm.
I would love to hear everybody's perspective on how they feel about this is love and being in that moment
Crazy. Mm.
in the crazy, right, in the crazy. um yeah, because I know we all have different feelings about the piece
Mhm.
and where we took ourselves to, because you got to take yourselves to a moment in
Yeah.
a time. So, just to get an idea of where they had to take themselves to, just to prepare and be there and be their authentic self while putting your words into action.
Mhm.
So, and I think that's powerful because I think what we're putting out is powerful.
Mhm.
Your narrative is powerful. Reading it and it's just like, this is what is life. This is this is it.
Yeah.
You're dealing with someone who you're pushing to go to med school, someone who's having a baby and has got a husband that's a little disgruntled and you want to shake him up a little bit, so
We didn't even get to the abortion. There's an
no, we
in there. There's some stuff, like,
yeah,
um, that we need to talk about,
yeah.
highlight the issues that women have in our own homes, having
Mhm.
to the whole submissive thing,
Yeah,
which ain't nobody having dominion over me. Is we submit if I'm submitting, I'm gonna submit myself. You submitting yourself, we in this together. Ain't nobody over nobody. So what better way to showcase that than through
yes,
this story?
yes.
Um,
I love it. I just love it. And I can probably go on, and we will at some point.
we will, we
We
will.
will. We will. But I really thank you. I thank you for taking the time out to be here to have this conversation. We talked about some really tough issues and tough things, which is all in what we do here on the platform, and which is why I created the platform to
Yeah.
be our authentic self and to showcase us in our authenticity. And so
Mhm.
I thank you for bringing that out and being here and being a part of that.
Mm. Thank you. Of course. Of course. I will be here. Um, when we jump off, I hope to just steal about 5 minutes of your time,
Yes, you can
to
do that. Absolutely. So,
Appreciate it. And people need to know how talented Diana is. She's natural. She is a natural. Okay. There's no forcing, there is no pushing. Diana is naturally talented, gifted, like, and very in touch with yourself. So I appreciate you so much. Like, I really do. I told you, like, how much you, the mom or the auntie was the center of the she's the nucleus, I guess I would say.
mm-hmm.
So we couldn't move forward without her, and you did that. Y'all got to see her outfits.
I know. The designer for the outfit, I showed her the picture. She's like, oh my God, that's my piece.
I
And
sent that picture out everywhere. You talking about the one with you and John?
mm-hmm.
That is like, that's like, I think probably my favorite.
Yeah, I'll send you the. I did a TikTok version of that where like an ants. Yeah, I'll send it to you. You can see it, and you can see the whole ensemble. But yeah. So yes. So thank you for that. I appreciate that wholeheartedly. So with that, I'm going to let you go. And so guys, you can find us on WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. So this is going to be on the TV as well as the radio and all my streaming platforms. Your YouTube, I'm going to have in the notes so people can go and watch your previous projects. All right. And I'll look for your upcoming projects on YouTube as well. And we're going to have you soon to be streaming on WUBI TV too.
Yeah, with Bamboo and T. Alexander. Well, we'll talk about which ones for sure.
We'll talk about, I think I wrote them down. Bamboo and T. Alexander were the two you gave me. So, but yeah, so thank you guys. So take care of yourselves and each other.